What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Niners Coast to Coast, back on 49ers First Takes podcast channel with the guys. We're going to talk some 49ers preseason. Yay. We're going to
Yeah,
talk a little Niners Broncos. A lot to break down from that game, especially with the quarterbacks. But before we get started, I just want to ask how the guys are doing.
doing all right on a Monday night. Good to see you guys.
Good to see you guys, too. It's always weird to get the temperature on people, and we haven't talked in a week, and if everybody's still feeling the stream, because I know I'm bipolar. So like one week I'm like, yeah, stream, and then I'm just like, oh wait, we got to stream. So I've been good. I like you guys, so it's not, it's less of that. But
Good.
yeah, exactly, good. Yeah. So we had hold on one second, guys. Having a little technical difficulty here. We had the return of Brock Purdy on this past Saturday, and it was short and sweet. Depending on who you're a fan of, some people thought it was the second coming of Montana returning back from injury, and other people like myself were happy to see him. Thought he looked like Brock. That's all I needed to see, and I was cool with that. We moved on. I'll start with Brian Culp. How was your feeling about seeing Brock? You were there at the game.
You were there. Tell us about it.
Yep. Oh man, it was awesome. Start out, just the whole journey over there. Me and my wife, we got a good babysitter. My mother-in-law, and she held down the fort. Then make sure the kids had some pizza, and took them out a little bit too. But for the most part, the journey over there, it's about a 2-hour drive for me, so it's not too hard. And I got 2 or 3 different ways I can go, so it's always fun. Like I can go through the mountains, or I can go on the main highway. But when I got to the game, we went to the Red Zone Rally, which was really fun. And that's like a big barbecue inside of Great America. Great America is adjacent to Levi Stadium. And Great America is an amusement park, if you guys don't know. I know you guys are out of California, but Great America, it's closing here really soon. So that's kind of sad. I think we have like 7 more years or something like that. But regardless, right now they have a big fan group meetup, and sometimes players show up, and it's cool. You got to pay for that ticket as well. But my wife's aunt was really cool. She showed up, and she knew we were going, so she hey, come with us. We got you tickets. So first time ever, going to this red zone rally, right? And the cheerleaders were there. They had Niner Noise there. If you guys have ever heard of them, they're the drumming group that plays during the game. And then sometimes players show up, but they had all you could eat, basically food, and all you could drink. I didn't know how much you could drink. I don't want to be a pig or not be able to make it to the game either. So but yeah, it was really cool because they had some California IPAs there. And then when we finally got to the stadium, I did hear that Brock Purdy was going to start, so that was really cool. And then the seats where we were at, I mean, like lower level, right there, you could see everything. It was really awesome. But the end zone that we were out, I believe, is the south end zone, and that was the end zone that Brock Purdy was driving to. So we did basically get to see everything coming to us at the beginning of the game, and it was a lot of fun. A lot of fun. And yeah, the drive stalled a little bit, but you've seen what he was able to do out there. You've seen his, scrambling abilities, his, getting out of certain situations. And maybe he doesn't have the biggest arm, but he knows how to move that offense. And yeah, Debo had a big game to begin with the game. And I mean, after that, it was just like, hey, let's go. But starting off with a field goal, I like kickers, but just because 3 is not 6. And 6 can be 7 or 8, depending on what right. Point after you go for conversion. So to start out the game with 3, I looked at Tony and I said, we might just lose this game. I said, I don't know if we need to come to another game. We've been to a couple games already, and they've we didn't walk away winning. We had a lot of fun, but write it up to Blaine Gabbert starting. Write it up to, jitters against Green Bay, whatever. But this is my 3rd game actually being at Levi's, which is like super fun. And yeah, I mean, Brock Purdy, he did his thing out there, and he came out, and I don't have any fear of Brock Purdy starting. Not at this point.
Yeah, I don't have any fear of him starting either. I think with Brock, it looks what do you call, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, it's not
Smooth.
Super impressive with Brock. What you see is what you get, but it's efficient. when you watch Trey and you see Trey make throws, it's like, wow, okay, I can see that. Okay. And I can understand why people are clamoring for him. But with Brock, it's just like he's essentially a point guard with a bunch of players that can score. And that's what he is. And he looked like the same old Brock. He doesn't have a huge arm. We all know that. But they move right down the field. He makes the easy throws easy. Nothing like it's overcomplicated for him. Threw a slant. He threw a second level throw to Juwan Jennings.
Yeah.
He could have had Ayuk in the flat. And then, he had the, couple screens, and that was it. That's their offense with him. That's what Kyle wants. I think a lot of people have to understand, I think Kyle really wants to see what you see with Brock is essentially what he wants with Trey. But I think with Trey's, and I don't want to get too much into Trey because we're going to talk about him. It's almost like the easy stuff for Trey is the stuff that's hard for him, and it's the difficult stuff that he really has a good time or easy time doing, or the bigger throws, throws that are something that Brock Purdy can only dream of. But I thought he looked pretty good. I almost was like, okay, I don't even need to watch the rest of the game, but I was interested to see when Trey came in, and I'm glad I did. So I was pretty happy about it. What do you think about it, Ty?
Yeah, Purdy was Purdy, it's like you said, he's a point guard with a bunch of playmakers around him. He's John Stockton.
Yeah.
With everybody around him. It's nothing flashy, but it's efficient, right? He's going to get the ball out on time, hit a wide open guy in space, and let that guy do his thing. I wish we would have saw him last week. This is the same kind of drive that I wanted last week. Just one drive with Kyle scripting up some stuff to get guys wide open, right? So Brock can just do his thing, just get the feel of the game once again, get back in the flow of things. I understand why they didn't play him last week. Remember, today was the original day that he was supposed to be completely healthy and clear. This was the day, the full 6 months that he was supposed to be 100% ready to go. So it was good that they got him in on Saturday to play. And he was him. It was nothing we haven't seen before, right? It was hitting guys wide open, simple stuff, and letting them just do their magic. I'm glad he didn't get hurt when we got down to the goal line and TDP missed that block, because I thought he was going to get blown up. I was like, oh my gosh, that was terrible, But had he made that block, he had Dwelly running to the corner wide open for an easy touchdown.
Right.
He could have just lobbed it up to him. So that was a big missed opportunity there. And then on the next play, when he did that scramble out to the left, he had Jennings in the flat, and he could have flipped it to him. Does he have the dexterity and such to flip it to him? That's a question, because we've seen him scramble to his left, and he has to fully stop himself and pivot to make that kind of throw. So, it would have been nice to have seen an attempt there, but I understand. But yeah, it was a typical, offensive start with Brock under center. It's, nothing to be scared about. We know these guys are going to be out there making plays like crazy, and the offense is going to move. So I was totally fine and happy to see Brock out there just doing his thing.
David?
It was nice to see him back, and he's pretty good, just like he was last year. Just for one drive, he did get whacked, so he got that out of the way.
He took 2 hits, the one on the sack and then the scramble. That's 2 hits. So I was glad to see him pop back up after the 2 hits and keep on going. Hey.
Oops.
It's just good to see, though, because now he's got that out of the way.
Right. Guys always want to get that first hit out of the way.
I honestly think they're we're still working him back. He's cleared to play games now, but I think he's still working on getting back in football shape, and that's why we probably only saw a drive out of him. This next game, hopefully we see they'll let him play a quarter or more. And he was pretty good last year. He's good at using the weapons around him.
2 drives. That's all I want to see. I don't want to see nothing else.
2 drives. I want to see a full quarter.
No,
they're not going to risk it. They're not going to do
if you think about it, Kyle likes to eat the clock. So 2 drives is going to be dang near a full quarter. So, but
not the way we move the ball with our starters. And imagine if Kittle and CMC gets out there.
Hey guys, Brian's having a little.
That's something else too.
Okay.
That's something else is all the injury.
Okay.
So and he looked like Brock. It was good to see. It was nice to see. He was 4 for 5 with a throwaway. He took off running, scrambled. He was doing what he needed to do, and I'm still hoping that he gets better. And as he gets back in football shape, we'll probably see some arm strength. Because I did see him, in practice. That was early though. But he tried throwing a 50-yarder and it fizzled out and fell around 38, 39 yards. So, as he gets back in football shape, I fully expect us to see more in this next game. And then, week 1, Pittsburgh.
What's weird is we talk a lot about can Brock hit the deep throws, but the Niners don't throw deep a lot. Even with they're not a deep throw team. Very rarely.
The deep shots are in there.
They're in the playbook.
It's just the quarterback has to take them. And
right.
Our offense is layered. You hit that deep shot or the guy coming across underneath. And a lot of times they hit the guy coming across underneath.
I feel like the Niners offense now is essentially what it was in the 80s. It's like Randy Cross used to say, it's the death of 1,000 paper cuts. It's just going to hit you and hit you and hit you and hit you. And it's like small doses.
But even then, you would see Joe hit somebody deep.
Joe had a pretty
Mike Wilson, Dwight Clark,
right. Jerry,
such and such deep Jerry. Yeah,
it's I want to see him just right. With me, it's just staying healthy. I don't think he's ever going to get a huge arm. So even him like rebuilding it, it's pretty essentially going to be the same as it was. But Brock just to me, he's efficient. He's super efficient with the way he moves. He makes quick decisions. I'm not gonna talk about Trey yet, but what's the knock on Trey that he sometimes has a hard time?
He holds on to the ball too long. He doesn't let it fly.
He doesn't trust what he sees, or he's slow to process a little bit, which is weird because they talked about when he was coming out how smart he was. But I think that's because he took a 2-level jump. He went from
the pre-snap reads are okay. It's the post-snap. It's seeing that they're in cover 2 and the guy's breaking. Throw it out there on time and get it instead of worrying about this guy's going to jump this route.
Right. And then that's what Brock does well. And it looks super non-impressive and nobody's really impressed by it. Like when I watch football, I'm not impressed by it, but that's the stuff that Kyle Shanahan probably bangs the table for that
4-yard throw. Yeah.
Yeah. He wants the ball to move. One thing Kyle can't stand is like interceptions, right? Mm-hmm. So he did talk about, Brock Purdy being the guy and he has no doubt and he has to melt in practice, but interceptions do matter. And I'm glad he's been throwing them in practice and getting it out of his system. But if you talk to guys, they had Chris McCaffrey and they asked about him and they're like, he's like, I've never seen so much analyzing on practice. It makes absolutely zero sense.
Yeah.
So the fact that he got out of the game healthy is what made me very happy. I'm waiting to invite Brian Culp back in whenever he clicks his camera back on. Yeah. Getting out of the game healthy, getting back to the sideline and doing what he had to do. He did his business, got out of there. With this team, it's like you never know with injuries. So it's like every snap is like I have to watch my TV to make sure I didn't see somebody drop on the ground and is holding something. So other than some players that essentially might not make the team anyways, they didn't have a whole hell of a lot of injuries from that game. But I thought Brock looked pretty good. I'm going to add Brian in. Brian, can you hear us?
Yeah, I lost sound coming out of my side. So I don't know if you guys could. So I just, muted and I don't know. But I got everything working now.
StreamYard's work is weird today. I attached the stream to Facebook and to Twitter, and they both malfunction. So I'm only on YouTube. I don't know what's going
Very
on.
weird.
About to call them for the money I pay. Be like, yo, I live like $50 a month, man. Fix Yosh. I need to get
That's
Snoop
right.
Dogg to do it for me. Be like, yo, man, that's what I need. Man. Let's talk about Trey Lance. Everybody knows what happened. We know what kind of start he had in that game. Watch Twitter. It started out with he's toast. He's no good. The Niners need to do themselves a service and move on from him. Yada 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 yada. You just watch all the tweets go. I say nothing. I haven't been critical of him one bit. All I always do is reiterate what I think the organization is doing, but I never bash him. I will not bash him because it's freaking stupid to do. And then you watch with him, it's almost like he I don't know, he's like a shooter sometimes in basketball where you go in hot and cold streaks. It takes him a while to get hot. When he gets hot, he starts making these throws. You're like, see, that's the reason they drafted that kid. He makes impressive throws. He can move. He's super athletic, and you see the potential. And the big knock really with Trey is Trey needs reps. Unfortunately, unless Brock Purdy gets hurt, he's not going to get those reps this year. Last year, I think, was so crucial for him, and I wish he would have played, even if that meant we didn't make playoffs or, we got eliminated, or maybe he has some bad games, because you could see in small glimmers with him what his potential that he could be. It just, he hasn't played enough, and he's so raw. He's so raw, and it sucks. But I thought he played incredible. I thought he mustered up a lot of intestinal fortitude to make it through the limited snaps that he had, and he ended up having a pretty good outing if you look at his numbers. So I thought he did what he had to do. I am not comfortable with Sam Darnold being my backup quarterback at all. I don't care what the people close to the 49ers are saying, what narrative they're trying to push. David, what was your observation on the kid, the young man, Trey Lance? I call him the kid all the time. I got to stop doing that.
It seems like when he comes in the game, he's got to get going. He got to get in the flow. So he starts out kind of slow, but once he gets going, he's going. I saw him let it rip. I saw him hit a couple tight windows. I really like what I see. I mean, yeah, he is raw. He needs playing time. And it's kind of a tough situation for us to give him playing time, considering how our team is now and what we currently have. And I hope he stays with us long term. I hope he gets the playing time and gets to develop and become the future. But at this point, I like what I saw. His throw, his windup is tight. It's not all clunky and slow. His footwork was much improved. And, like that throw to Cameron Latu, let's be honest, it was a duck, but it wasn't drunk, and it had a sense of direction. So it still got to where it was going to go. And if anyone knows a video game reference, please leave it in the chat. But, the drunk dunk with the poor sense of direction, I don't know if you guys ever played that back in the day. But for what it is at this point, he's worked hard and he does look better than what I saw last preseason.
Go ahead, Bryant, jump in there.
Well, this time I kind of, I don't ever want to disagree with just anybody or just whatnot. I can disagree with y'all equally, right? But I almost want to say Trey Lance looked better last year in preseason than he did this year, or maybe even the year before when he went out there and threw that bomb to Trent Sherfield. That's what we want out of. Mm-hmm. That's what we want out of Brock, not Brock, Trey Lance. That's what we want, right? We don't want to see all these dink and dunk passes, but that's not what offense we have, right? That's the exact offense we have. We have this dream that we're going to go get a quarterback and he's going to revolutionize our offense. Wait, who's coaching this team? It's still Kyle's team. It's still Kyle's offense, right? So it doesn't matter. Even with Matt Ryan took some deep shots, and yeah, if you go back and watch some of that film, he deke and dunked a lot too. But he had the ability to throw the deep shot. That's what Trey has. Maybe a little bit more than what Brock Purdy has, to be completely honest, right? But that's why, are you guys ready? That's why Kyle likes Sam Darnold, because he has a bigger arm and he can stand there and he can do the little dink and dunks and he can throw the big pass. So I know nobody wants to talk about Sam Darnold, and we don't even have to get into him. But for the record, I think if Sam gets in, we're not going to be losing any games either. I think all three of these quarterbacks are going to be able to get in and play. And the reason I'm confident in saying that is, you guys seen, we watched Brock Purdy came in for one series and he looked like Brock Purdy. We seen Trey Lance last game. We all wanted him to see him pass. And when he didn't do good, then we got mad. We're like, hey, why aren't they running the ball? But I thought we wanted to see Trey throw. Okay, so now Trey got to throw, and he didn't drop back in the pocket like he did. We have JT O'Sullivan, who tore up the game. You guys go watch it. He broke it down left and right. And if you don't want to listen to me, go listen to him, because I'm telling you what, he can tell you what he did wrong to a T. He needed to drop back further, and he needed to get rid of the ball much faster. And he didn't need to show his disbelief or his feelings on the field. Live to play the next down. Don't worry about making a bad throw. So that's what he did this game. He came in, and again, everybody's screaming, oh, I want to see him play with the number ones. I just want to see the guy play. Okay, can we get out of our feelings and just let's see if he really needs all the reps he can get, right? Then he's got to be with Scuba Steve, and he's got to be with everybody, right? You know, like everybody. So if you're gonna say, okay, Trey's the only one who needs starts and reps out there, you're not really giving anybody else an opportunity in case something bad happens like last year. We don't want it to be last year, but did anybody want it to be last year? No. It was supposed to be Trey all year. All year. He was supposed to take us to glory, and he got hurt. He got hurt because, okay, and everybody can argue this, but I understand he was the one who decided to bootleg out. He was supposed to stay in the pocket. He decided to scramble out. So he ran out, and he got hit. You could have got hit in the pocket or out there running, but whatever. Kyle's not taking the blame on that play. So you guys, we can go back and forth, but that's what
what play are you talking about? Confusing.
Where he breaks his ankle, where Trey.
That wasn't a bootleg. That was a power run up the B gap.
And that's what
it was an RPO.
That's what Kyle.
I get what you're saying.
He decided to make that decision and run. He could have stayed in the pocket.
I'm pretty sure that was a QB power right up the gut. I got to rewind that. Either way, but that's a whole nother discussion. We're not going to get into it. Go ahead.
You see what I'm getting at? Like our quarterbacks need time. Each one needs time, but we want Trey to get the most time because we want Trey to start. We want Trey to start because we give up the capital for him, and we want Trey to start because, hey, he's our guy, right? But nobody was saying anything about Purdy last year. Nobody was saying anything about, anybody else. It was all Trey. So what? The season was over after Trey went down? No, we get somebody else who stood up and took us almost all the way there. Because why? This team's that good. So, like the quarterback talk really does get really sickening at a certain point, because people want to go back and tell you, no, this is why he has to start. This is why. And you're like, no, at the end of the day, the Niners just have to win. That's all that happens. If we would have won that championship with Josh Johnson, more than likely we would have got Phillip Rivers in the Super Bowl. And if you guys don't think Phillip Rivers would have won the Super Bowl with the 49ers offense last year, oh boy, I don't know if we should be talking, because the Niners had that good of a team, and Phillip Rivers is a veteran quarterback that had enough noodle arm left to muster up. He could have handed the ball off to CMC. CMC could have ran the ball. There's just so many different options, but it could have been whatever, right? You can't look at the pass and say, oh man, it should have went this way, because that's what Monday morning quarterback's all about, right? You weren't in the game, but now you were critiquing the game. So, no, I don't want anybody out there, and I want to see them all do good. But
shout out to Phillip Rivers and his 9 kids with 1 on the way.
Hey,
oh my God, is that another one coming?
If you can afford them, you can afford them, then go for it, right?
Yeah, if you got the money to put up all, hell no.
Hey, man,
I just want to say what's up to the chat real quick.
Yeah, shout out to the chat. We got people's up in here.
Yeah, we got somebody. Steve-O's got one of his accounts mid-carding it up. Thank you very much. We got Cryant Bulp in here.
He's all over the place. My goodness.
Of course, Terradome's in here telling Bryant to preach. We got Ty Alston.
That's right. My Asian cousin. Yeah.
Jeez Louise. Here's the thing, man.
Hold up. I got to do my trade.
Go ahead.
Trade last thing.
I forgot.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
So, hold on. Nope. I just got to get my say. So,
no, you're good.
One, everyone's saying Trey started slow. So, Purdy went 4 for 5. Trey went 3 for 5. That's a 1 completion difference. One guy's slow, but the other guy isn't. I think there's some perception going on out there that needs to be, cleared up. Because I don't know why that is. Like, how can a 1 completion difference? One is slow, one isn't. It's weird.
It's not my realization. It was everybody else that covered the game that said.
Yeah, I know. It's very weird to hear people talk. It's like, okay, fine. This is what we wanted to see from Trey Lance, though. Last week versus the Raiders, he had an average game. Don't let everybody fool you. Talk about he was terrible. The first quarter was terrible. He rebounded greatly in the second quarter, and it equaled out to an average game, an average start. Now we see him in the second game. This is what we want to see, is what will he do in his second game? Will he progress, stay the same, or will he regress? We saw progression. We saw him learn his faults from the first game, build on that, and improve. And he improved greatly. It's like night and day when you look at the 2 games. So he went from an average game to a damn good game, a very good game. He did some electric things out there, and that's what we expected to see from him all along, right? We want to see him, and I think that's part of the problem. People think as soon as he steps on the field, he's just going to throw like a 90-yard touchdown or something. It's this weird dynamic that we have with him.
We've been conditioned to it.
We've conditioned as soon as he steps on the field, we're going to get Patrick Mahomes. No, that's not the case. So we saw him develop. We see him developing right before our eyes and improving. And that's been a story from training camp. How each and every day from camp, he's just been kind of doing this. He's just gotten better and better day by day. And yeah, he's had an off days here and there. But overall, he's done this. He's just gone up. So this game, he had a very good game. He had the short throws. He had the immediate throws. He was quick and decisive. He made some plays with his legs. That throw he made scrambling to his left and threw it to Tay Martin, that was an underrated throw. Martin dropped it. We got a penalty on the throw. It didn't matter at all. But the execution and the play itself was awesome. Right? That's the kind of stuff we want to see from him. We know he can do, but you're not going to see it on every play and not the first play. So he had a darn good game, and this is one to build on. And it's like, okay, if we could get that kind of play with these backups, imagine what we could get with the starters in him out there. It can maybe even go to another level. So that's the promise of him. But for his game, just on its own, he did great.
What do you think of the
wasn't his fault?
The criticism that some might say that he did it against 3s and 4s? What do you say to that? Because I put that out there because I know people were going to come with it,
right?
And so I just put it out there, like, people go, oh, you know how it goes, dude. No one's ever going to give anybody any credit if they don't like them. They're just going to find something, throw it in the argument. I'm asking you because you saw things a little different.
Well, these 3s and 4s are fighting for their jobs. They're 3s and 4s against other 3s and 4s. So it's a level playing field. And according to some people out there, Trey Lance is a 3 and a 4. So isn't he on equal terms?
We're gonna break it down like that, right?
What's the issue? These guys are fighting for their job. It's not like they're out there playing flag football or just being mediocre. Like, oh, this doesn't matter. Let me let him catch it. Let's not rush him on the pass rush and sack him. No, they're out there playing for their life. So that whole, oh, it's just against 3s and 4s. No, he's playing real football. So that's just a cop out. And no one has ever said that before. No one has ever said, oh, he's just playing against 3s and 4s. Oh, Colin Kaepernick is only playing against the 3s and the 4s, or Steve Bono's going against the 3s and the 4s. I've never heard that. But all of a sudden, it's a thing.
Yeah.
Is it because he's a first round pick and a third overall in the draft? And maybe people have created these unreachable or lofty expectations based on such a small window, a small sample size of him playing.
Right.
I think that if you watch the analysts, or if you listen to the analysts, Ty, they'll say stuff, but then they don't add in the other part of he hasn't had enough time to do it. People have said, like, you see guys on ESPN, I've seen enough. You ain't seen because
you haven't seen anything.
You haven't seen it. What are you talking about?
He's played in 3.5 games.
Right.
He's never completed 2 games in a row.
We haven't seen it. His own coaches and organization haven't seen it.
Exactly.
It's their choice to make the choice that they did with quarterback, because they're thinking win now, window, blah, 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 whatever we all think that means. The organization does feel that way. That's why I wish he wouldn't have gotten hurt last year, because a lot of people are like, would you have sacrificed a year? Yeah, I would have. If it would have meant getting him unbelievable reps in all sorts of different pressure situations, whether it's a Sunday night game or a Thursday night game to clinch the division, all that stuff he needs to play through. Whether he plays and has some mistakes and cost them the game, or he plays his heart out and they fall short, he hasn't had a chance to do any of that. So we're all overanalyzing everything, all of us. Whether it's the YouTubers that get freaking 500 people watching at once, or guys like us, we all break it down because, I mean, Kyle and John haven't exactly made it easy for us to just be with one or the other, because they themselves don't half the time know what they're doing. So of course the fans are going to be up in arms about it. But I think I said he started slow based on he threw an interception early. And if you listen to the 49ers commentators, they were like, which I can't listen to either of those guys, but that's a whole other thing.
It's terrible. So this whole thing is part of the whole, you can speak negative about Trey Lance no matter what dynamic that goes on. Mm-hmm. And this didn't start this season. Going back to the preseason thing, remember last year he started in preseason. Mm-hmm. He played the game against Green Bay. He throws the big touchdown. Hoopla, our ones and second stringers versus their ones and second stringers. What did everybody say then? Oh, it's just preseason. It doesn't mean anything. Now this year, what's the excuse this year? Oh, it's against the third and fourth stringers. It doesn't mean anything.
You're right.
When does the excuses stop? It's like everything he does is negative. Our own organization did it on that broadcast Saturday night. Freaking Bob Papa, Greg Papa.
I don't like him either.
You would swear he was the GM for the Seahawks, because he was pointing out every negative thing. And at one point, T-Rock had to be like, wait, hold on. Some of that wasn't his fault. That was the O-line. Like, your own partner has to stop and interject. Like, come on now, you're going a bit too far. Like, it's even on a touchdown pass to Latu, the first thing he said, oh, a duck was thrown or something like that. Instead of, hyping up the play, Latu wide open, touchdown. No, it's terrible what's going on.
I agree. If you listen to him, though, he's been pretty consistent with his, he never wanted the pick to begin with. I think he was pretty much on the Mac Jones train, Greg Papa. So the whole him not being, first of all, he's an ex-Raiders guy. I don't know what he's doing commentating Niner games. He makes me feel real uncomfortable. Tim Ryan's just as bad. He's like this big giant guy with a hugely deep voice, and it's just like, Man, we gotta get some people. We gotta do some tryouts on YouTube with some of us. Maybe one of us could be the Niners commentator.
Yeah.
Brian, we haven't talked to you yet. Did we talk to you yet about Trey Lance and his performance and what you thought? Brian,
went before me.
David?
Yeah. I went. It's Brian's turn. He was there.
Oh, that's right. Ty was like, Aaron, I'm talking now.
Well,
I felt that. I started like,
I did get to talk a little bit about
I had to get my Trey talk in.
Yeah, I did get to talk a little bit about him. I really do think he's improving. I think, exactly, because I went on a tangent there for a second. This game, compared to the Raiders game, he dropped back further. He got the ball out faster. That's exactly what he needs to do. He can throw the short passes. He can throw the big ones, but he has to be able to get out and go 1, 2, throw. If he's going to read the whole offense, then that might be his downfall. He needs to go 1, get the ball out. 2, get the ball out. And he needs to take longer step backs. But after seeing him come out this game, he did good. The first ball was tipped. It was an interception, I think, and that didn't let him get shooken or anything, because the whole thing, I think you guys know I like talking fondly of Jimmy G. I don't talk down about him. I think he had his limitations, but I also think he did well for us at certain times. And there was times where he did stuff, and I was like, I call him Jimmy, but I know he's not a friend anymore. So we can't call him Jimmy. Jimmy's a term of endearment, so let's call him James.
That's right.
But so, our old quarterback there, when he had thrown an interception, he didn't come off the field like cussing himself out and stuff like that. You could see he was like, but he didn't, punch, holes through TVs or anything like that. He came to the sideline, he sat down, maybe he had a silly grin on his face. I didn't watch all of that, but I knew the next drive, I was confident. I usually was confident. I don't bet. I'm not a betting man, but I was confident if I pulled the last dollar out of my pocket and put it on the table, 95% of the time, he's going to go right down the field and score. And that's what we need, out of all these quarterbacks. We need each one of them to be like, hey, I got it. We're going down the field. I think Brock right now currently has it. He's like, I know how to manipulate this, and I can get us down there. And I think Trey's learning that, and that's really, really awesome. I know you guys don't like Sam Darnold so much, but there's something funny to be brought up about Sam Darnold. What round was Trey drafted, and what selection?
First, number 3 overall, same as Sam. First round, number 3 overall.
That's a little weird, huh? Some vibe.
That's really strange.
And the same thing, it's really actually we have an opportunity right now to have 3 good quarterbacks on our team, but we are, as a fan base, bearing a hole for 2 of them. If and I really want people to stop, like you can like Trey, you can like Brock, but don't you like the 49ers? So
that's
Sam
the
Darnold there, are you, if Sam Darnold starts, I will make a t-shirt that says I ain't afraid of no ghost, and I'll put his face on it. Okay. I'm telling you.
Do it. Do it now.
That's awesome. You got to have him in like the Peter Venkman, like have him look like the Ghostbusters, but have him. Yeah, that's the one thing I don't understand with 49er fans right now. Nobody's talking about any of the positive things we've been seeing in the preseason. And I'm going to bring up one of them up in a second. Like, for instance, like Ty McGill had a great game the other night.
A great game.
Samuel Womack looks like he's taking the next step playing. We might have 2 future linebackers playing behind our 2 current linebackers, we can move on from in a couple of years, and we have 2 more studs right in the building. Like, there's so much concentration on this quarterback thing. Nobody's even talking about this team. It's so aggravating to listen to. Like, and I'm talking about pro Purdy and pro Lance people. All they do is pull up statistics and they chart things. And it's getting to the point now. It's like, dude, the organization has made its mind up. So freaking get over yourself, support who's out there. And if Brock goes down and gets hurt again, you support Trey or Sam, because it's not going to, the wheel's not going to stop turning. It's going to keep going. So like, I've never seen this before. And dude, it's pathetic. I see people answering their own tweets. Why are you tweeting to yourself? What are we doing?
Retarded.
Dude.
I've seen that.
Sometimes I'll hit. I'm bad. Sometimes if I'm the only one who read it,
or like on my own stuff, if nobody else likes it, yeah, of course.
It makes me feel a little bit better. Like, hey, someone's showing love. Even if it's just me.
it's really it's just other fan bases look at us like, wow, these guys have some serious mental problems. Like they're sitting there arguing about a decision that was made in March that none of us have any control over because the coaching staff and the front office said Brock's the guy. I feel bad for Trey Lance, but Kyle said it. This is what Kyle said. Trey was the guy, and then he got hurt. That's what he said, unfortunately. And then Brock stepped in, and Brock played well. That's pretty much what happened. So now they're in a position, if they go back to Trey and they lose, then we should have stayed with Brock. So either way, whatever decision they make, they're going to alienate a portion of the fan base. There's no escaping it. There's a lot of people out there that think there's other reasons behind it, and there may be, maybe not within the 49ers organization, but maybe from a narrative, from a national coverage basis. Don't watch ESPN, people. Don't watch ESPN. They're trash. They're garbage.
You're trash.
They straight up freaking pooped all over Trey and was like, they didn't even like talk about when we talk about giving, what's the word? Not perspective, but context to stuff. No context. ESPN is without context. You could tell that they just like watched the final score and like a 30-second highlight, and they had like, all right, I'm gonna write up my comments for this one. Ridiculous.
That's it.
Let's talk about Ronnie Bell, guys. Do we have like a future wide receiver star on this team? I'll start with Ty.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. He is Brandon Ayuk and Debo Light.
He is Brandon Ayuk and Debo Light.
Like he's the love child of both of them. Like good route running, hands, but quick acceleration, and hands like Ayuk, quick acceleration, and strong like Debo. Ronnie Bell, like that dude. I knew he was a good possession receiver and such coming out of Michigan, but man, he can do a whole lot more in the field. So that guy, he's our future number 3 receiver. I'm saying it right there.
Yeah, Juwan Jennings better watch your ass.
I can see them not re-signing Jennings next year because he'll probably have a good year and demand more money, and we'll be like, oh, see ya. We got this 7th round guy here for on the cheap. He doesn't even count against the cap. See ya. That guy, he's a definite keeper.
Mm-hmm. The only thing he's got to do is when the ball's on you, you got to catch it. Don't let it reach your chest. Got to catch that mess.
Yep.
Because that's 2 weeks in a row. He had a fumble too. He's played so well though that even with all those mistakes, there's just no way that he's making the team.
His positives have definitely outweighed the negative.
He can block too.
Yeah.
He's
and
like
Kyle loves that.
Yep. I actually uploaded a clip before I started the stream to TikTok where it's just Debo saying like, we taught him, the first thing he taught him is you got to block, and that's the part of how this team runs. They're wide receivers. He breaks a lot of. The only thing I get scared of is he's a little slight build.
Yeah. So
I don't want him taking too many hits, breaking a bunch of tackles, but at the same time, like you're right, man. He is legitimately a love child of the two of them. He's like a slimmer. He reminds me. This is what I tweeted Saturday. I said, Ronnie Bell is what the 49ers wanted when they drafted Dante Pettis, and they got it in Ronnie Bell. He can return kicks, and he ain't afraid to go over the middle. He'll catch passes wherever you want him. That's what they wanted from Dante, and Dante was, more into cats and being weird and stuff, but he looked good. He looked real good. So I'm really high on him. And, for every time the Niners miss on a pick early in the draft, they always do something to get us to where we stop talking about their failures drafting early, because they always make these selections late in the draft to be like, okay, I'll let you guys off the hook again for missing this one in the first round, because again, and they might have done it again with D Winters and maybe with a guy like Jalen Graham at the same time. So like props to the Niners scouts who aren't responsible for the first, say, like 4 rounds. Good for you guys.
Yeah.
Bryant.
Oh, I really like Ronnie Bell. I think me and David's been talking about him probably since Moody got picked. And when I found out, he's on the team too, I'm like, wow, they brought a friend. So Then I found out his dad's a wide receiver. I think his dad was a wide receiver coach. So you got to believe, he's been teaching his boy since he was young. He does run really, really strong routes, better routes than Debo. And he's a little bit more physical than Ayuk. So sitting there in the stadium, very, very, very thankful to be sitting where I was at, and just really thanks again. I can't say it enough, but listening to other fans that's been to the game a little bit, maybe more often. And I can't say that if you're in the stands, you're more invested than other people, because it seems like some of the people in the stands just go there to party, and it's not like they're watching the game at all. They're socializing, they're seeing other people that's been there. They're walking around, they're finding other people. It's like they got a little map and they're making their rounds.
Yep.
And I thought it was interesting because like most of the game we had empty seats around us, and then later we started seeing people waving at each other and like signaling. It's like, steal second, no, come steal this seat. So the next thing we know, we're sitting in like a full section, and it's okay. But at the beginning of the game, when you're sitting there and you don't have to get up and you don't have to move your beer cup or anything like that, it's like, you're enjoying it, right? But then after you got to get up 4 or 5 times and someone's walked by you and you're like, where were you at earlier, right? Oh, don't say anything. Don't say anything. So it's one of those things. All right, there we go. But no, I had a lot of fun watching him. I think he's doing a lot better. The Raider game, he let the ball go right through his hands. I think Brandon Allen was doing really good as a quarterback, just managing the game. I know we don't want Brandon Allen to start either, but just looking at, him being able to come in and run the offense. And he was playing with the 4s, and he was doing very good, right? So again, I don't know. I thought he did really well, other than Ronnie Bell, letting it go through his hands. I thought we might have went down and scored again, because that play, he caught the ball, the defense caught the ball and ran it to like the 1. So that was a major turn of events. But Ronnie Bell's getting better. But what I'm trying to say is the people that was sitting around me was saying that Ronnie Bell's been drafted to replace Ayuk. And I'm like, interesting, because I like Ayuk, and I know a lot of people like Ayuk. He's a fan favorite, but I've thrown it out there a couple times. If we could trade Ayuk for like Bosa, big brother Bosa, I'd do it. If we could get something out of it. But if we end up losing him to free agency, then that's not cool at all, because that's a really good player. But we can't always pay everybody. And a lot of people are saying that right there is like, we can't pay Debo and Ayuk. And I'm like, I just quiet. I'll listen, and I'll talk when I need to. But they were saying Ronnie Bell's going to be the new Ayuk, and I don't know. He looks really good out there. I definitely think he's going to be one of the 6 wide receivers we keep.
David?
I honestly like Ronnie Bell. If he does not make the roster, I'm going to eat my favorite 49er hat.
There you go.
Now, I mean, 7 catches, 114 yards. The only thing he was missing was a TD, or 2. But when it comes to the kick return, and he'll clean that up. We do have practice. He has plenty of time to work on that. But I honestly think he is definitely going to be our future number 3 wide receiver. Could turn into our number 2 wide receiver depending on the decisions they make with Debo and Ayuk.
Yeah.
And, I mean, you never know what the Niners are thinking. You really don't. It's a tight ship. It is not the Titanic. So, but, yeah, crisp route running. He does have good hands. But, when you throw it at, his helmet and he's going one way and thinking the ball's going to be out here, and he tries reaching back and get it, and it bounces off his helmet. That don't help. Shout out to Sam Darnold. But other than that, and he does. Juwan Jennings even does that. He'll, almost catch a ball. It'll be tipped. It's just something that happens. But the kid's a baller. 7 catches, 114 yards. He's definitely going to be making the team, and he has a future on our squad.
I 100% agree. He made the team with that game last night or Saturday night. 100%. There's no question. He just has to work on his hands a little bit and hold on to the ball. He's not a big guy, So he's going to get rocked here and there. But could the Niners essentially move on from him? I'm sorry. Did I interrupt you?
No, I was going to shout out Cameron Latou while I was talking about guys that are catching passes. 3 catches, 46 yards, and a touchdown.
Nice. From a guy that, all everybody said is going to pretty much be cut. And we haven't said nothing from Braden Willis, so I don't know what in the world they're talking about with Braden Willis being this guy that's eventually going to be the number 2 tight end. I've seen nothing. Niners just aren't good at drafting tight ends, but Latou did have a better game. I think Kittle kind of puts us in a place where we have such high expectations for tight ends, and it's hard to hit. It's hard to hit on them. You know what I mean? No, but with Ronnie Bell, when people say that there could be a move down the road and that they could keep Bell and move on from somebody, that's a logical thing. I mean, the Niners, if it ever ends up happening sometime in this century with Bosa, for every big player that you sign to an extension or a contract, you eventually have to move on with other people from different areas of your roster. And I would hate to move on from Brandon Ayuk, especially if he balls out. It could be Debo that they move on from. I don't know. Debo has injury history. So, I mean, that's why you can't get too attached to players, especially when you realize it's a business. That's why I rarely buy jerseys. I haven't bought a Debo. I buy jerseys of guys that I know might be around a while.
Yeah.
Like Bunga, Fred Warner.
Yep.
Guys that are going to be on the team for an extended period of time. No quarterbacks. The only way I'll buy a quarterback jersey is if one of these young men take us to the promised land. I'll get a jersey. I don't care if he throws 25 interceptions the following year. He got us a ring, so I'll be happy. But I want to say real quick, thank you to Steve-O, even though he gives me a lot of shit. He said, "What week will David call Sam Darnold by his full name?" I have no idea what he's talking about. Why, do you have an issue calling Sam Darnold his full name? You just call him Darnold all the time?
No, I've been calling him Six Sam, but just from the seeing ghost thing. Right. Steve-O's even said, "Dude, that was years ago. Just let it go already." He said that. So
What do you guys think about Jake Moody, the kicker? How worried are you? I'll start with Ty.
I'm not worried at all.
Oh,
I think he'll be fine. He was, what was it? On his kicks, total kicks, points, and blah, blah, blah. He was 3 for 4. He just missed 1. That's fine. That's acceptable. He'll be fine. I don't even blame him for that miss. I blame the coaching staff for that miss, because it was found out that he never kicked in Levi before. So think about that. You got a stadium with tricky wind, and you don't take your rookie kicker in there a couple of times a week to say, hey, just practice kicking with this wind? Very smart by the coaching staff. Brian Schottenheimer, thumbs up, buddy. Great job.
I'm surprised he didn't ask to go in there and try to kick some before the game to get himself some practice, some prep.
You don't even wait till your first time playing in the stadium to go in there. You practice right outside the stadium. How about just grabbing your guy? Hey, this win is tricky. We need to go in there and start kicking some kicks. You need to learn how to kick in there. You can do it after practice, before practice, on your off day. You grab the kid. We got to go in there. You got to learn how to kick in this stadium. It's different. And you don't do that? We talk about Trey Lance needing reps.
Yeah.
Jake Moody needs reps in our stadium. Unbelievable.
Epic fail by our special teams coordinator. He was bad though last year. Like, we had one of the worst return coverage teams, kick return cover, just all of it combined. So yeah, I'm not exactly big on Schottenheimer or whatever the hell his name is.
Steve-O, Taylor Swift has not been there for 2 months. She wasn't in there for 2 months straight. Jake Moody's been there since the draft in April.
Yeah, they should have took him in the building freaking 4 months ago.
That was his first time Saturday night kicking in there.
That's what they say. That's what they say.
Fail.
I mean, if that's exactly true, he hasn't kicked inside a Levi's Stadium, then that's an issue right there. And yes, I like Taylor Swift. I'm sorry, I said it. I'm not, show you my whole music collection, but I like a lot of different, good performers out there. And Taylor's got like one or two songs, okay? But she did. She went to our stadium and tore up our field. She didn't do it on purpose, and she tipped the semi drivers and the union workers. So I mean, shout out to her for being awesome. But if he hasn't been in there because they haven't assembled the field fast enough. Now, I know when we went over there to see Tom Grossi, I can't remember if it was the night. I think it was right before she went there. I think the next day she was there. So they had field then. So it doesn't make any sense to me that he wasn't in there kicking unless they were having some kind of special, because the Levi Stadium does a lot of fun events for the community. Girl Scouts have slept on the field. They've done all kinds of other stuff, so there's all kinds of events that's happening. So if he can't get in there, but again, if he can't get in there to kick on that's his home turf now. He should be able to have the keys to walk in there. When I was kicking in high school, I was allowed to walk on the field anytime after school, weekends, whatever. If it wasn't a game, I was allowed to go and practice anytime. So I don't know why, come on, groundkeepers, find groundkeeper Willie out there or something, get a key. Come on, Jake.
Yeah, that's insane. And it's weird too, because if you listen to the broadcast, they were talking about how Robbie Gould knew that the winds would swirl, so that he had to sometimes push his kicks farther left because they would compensate, because the wind would end up blowing him back right. He's never been in there. He doesn't know the winds. So he kicks it straight, looks great. And at the last second, it goes off to the right. So I'm a little worried about him. I will say that before handing it over to David. I don't know, man. Third round pick kicker. He looks a little bit shell shocked if you look at his body language, but maybe it's just me because I'm an eternal pessimist about everything. So maybe that's just me, but go ahead, David.
So Jake Moody just needs to be kicking in the stadium. I mean, I don't know what these guys are thinking. Stadiums, their general design makes the winds strange. It's not like it's going to come in from one direction. It's kind of like a bowl. So it's always going to swirl a little bit. And, he just needs to be kicking where he's going to be kicking. It only makes sense. So at this point, I'm, the first couple misses, I'm not really counting those against him at this point, because, just knowing that he hasn't had much experience in his own home stadium, that means a lot. But I think the kid will be fine. I think he'll come around. He just needs more practice at home. And I'd like to run through the injuries real quick, if you guys don't mind.
Yeah,
go right ahead.
Down.
This is the expected back this week. We got Javin Kinlaw. I have to put this in there. Not his knee. It's an illness. We got George Kittle, Kalia Davis, Drake Jackson, Elijah Mitchell, and Dre Greenlaw. All expected back this week for practice.
Nice.
Now, sad to say it, but Taco Tuesday was with no sauce. Taco Charlton is on injured reserve.
I like that.
So, that's Daryl Luter is going to start the season on the pup list.
Yeah.
Danny Gray did dodge a bullet. It's not a broken collarbone. It's a shoulder injury. We should get him back. I read a report that said around week 4 is, around what we're looking at. And, Jalen Moore has a knee injury. He's actually questionable for the game at Pittsburgh. So, we'll see what happens there. Jeremy Nichols has a hamstring. He's going to be out for a couple weeks. And last but not least, Kerry Hyder has a stinger that they're going to keep an eye on throughout the week.
Oy. That's never good.
Kind of a lot. I know it's kind of a lot.
Stinger or neck is in the neck.
Yeah, stingers up in the shoulder neck area normally.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Let's turn it over to something positive. Well, actually, it's not positive. It's actually really negative. Let's talk about Nick Bosa not being signed yet. It is about 3 weeks from the start of the season. We have no sign of Nick Bosa. There was a report that said that they will get it done and that they're in good faith it's going to happen. But are you guys worried? Because I kind of am, only because usually when guys hold out and then they actually play or they start to practice, some catastrophic injury happens. And I know he's in shape and he does all this stuff and he's, got like a 1% body fat and whatever. But still, dude, there's a difference between hitting weights and cardio and, getting that callus from practice. David, are you stressing? Are you worried about Nick Bosa?
I'm really not. Is there a football player in better shape, on the 49ers than Nick Bosa? There kind of is a thing, the real game shape, but he's not dumb. He's down there. He's doing the things he needs to do to be in shape, to be ready to go. And I honestly thought that today the announcement would come, and I'm going, what is going on here? And we'll find out after the fact, whenever they do announce it. But I honestly think that we're going to see something done maybe by end of week, maybe, because, the guy does need a week or two with the team before the season starts, right?
Agreed. Needs to get his butt in here. And like Niner Gang podcast was saying, Dion, he said with Bosa, you'd be worried about soft tissue injuries, honestly, because that's what happens with players. 100%. That's exactly what I'm talking about. Like soft tissue injuries, a hamstring, a groin, something, an abductor. Because you go from like, dude, banging against Trent Williams, you can't replicate that in the real world anywhere else unless you run into a brick wall, like, I don't know, 35 miles an hour. Like, I am worried. And it's ridiculous that it's taken this long because they're usually a type of team who gets their crap done and taken care of and is on with it and everything's ready to go. This is like unprecedented for them in Parag Marathe because Parag's, Mr. family friendly for the Niners when it comes to contracts. And maybe the Bosa family's like, no, not with Nick. You're going to actually have to pay him and no tricks and no escalators on the contract. Like you're going to pay him straight up. So, Ty, what do you think?
I think he'll sign next week. He just doesn't want to play in preseason. Doesn't want to be here. Like he never plays in preseason anyway.
Right.
Like why be contractually obligated to do so when I don't have to be? I can chill in Florida, stay on my boat for a few days and enjoy that good weather, right?
A little iced tea, hang out with the ladies.
Exactly. Hang out, do my training the way I like to do it. And, then I'll come in and practice with you guys for a week or two and be ready for week one. I think it's that kind of deal. Because, he's just super laid back. I don't think camp is his thing. And for a lot of guys, camp just wasn't their thing. They'll fake injuries and do things like that just to get out of camp. I think he's one of those guys. So, like, what was it, his rookie year or something? He had that calf injury that kept him out of camp. He didn't play in preseason. Then all of a sudden, he was just ready for week one. You guys remember that?
Mm-hmm.
That's Nick Bosa.
And he balled out in that game, too. That was when they had the 2 pick sixes returned for touchdowns. Yep.
Exactly, against the Bucks. Exactly. So I just think this is his deal. And it's his way of being like, you know what? If I can use this as an excuse to stay away from camp, I'll do so. So I think it's fine. I think he'll come in a week or so, get, into some practices, go against Trent a bit just to get himself right, and then he'll be ready to go.
Bryant. You're muted.
Unmute yourself.
Yeah, sometimes if I hear the girls in the background, I gotta, try to keep it professional as possible. You don't want to hear somebody yelling about a Barbie. So
why not?
It's a Barbie world.
It's a Barbie world. But yeah, I think he's going to sign a historic contract. I think the deal's already been made. I think they're just waiting to announce it. I think it's going to be closer to, I said it earlier, 35 to 40 million. I think it's going to be closer to the 40 million. I don't care. I don't pay it. I don't care. Pay the man, make him happy.
Yeah. Yep.
Ty brings up a good point with the injury. I don't think it was really a significant injury or really a real injury. And I was going to say, before you said that, he hasn't really been injured that we could really tell. He had the 2018 season. He actually went and got injured on a stadium, on a field that multiple other players got injured on like the next week, so it's not like it was just him. Like, he comes in ready, and I don't know what he's doing for his training and stuff. I mean, like, I imagine he's probably, deadlifting and some little kid's coming up and hitting him with a board every other time, or, I mean, like, soft tissues happen, but, I think he knows how to stretch. He knows how to, he's in better shape than any guy on our football team. And the only person you could argue that really, truly, and we were talked about this, I think me and David the other day, who's a better player on the football field? I think you guys were here too. I can't remember because this is a fun topic. Who's better, Trent Williams or Bosa?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like, those are the only options you have for that.
Alpha males at the respective
But
positions.
you can honestly look at Bosa and say he's committed like 100%. Trent's amazing too. I'm not saying he's not committed, but he's got it up here and he's got the years where Bosa is just like, you're just look at him and it's all about his body and being in shape. And when he does come to the Niners organization, he doesn't practice with the Niners. He's still doing his crap on the sidelines and doing his weird, so I don't know. I mean, like, is it really hurting anybody's feelings or, I just want the guy to be there week one, so I'm not worried yet.
Did anybody check Trent Williams' chain during that interview?
Oh, I did. We talked about it on Twitter.
I was like, look at that ice. Ooh.
I was like, wow.
How much do you think that chain cost, Ty? Just round number. We're talking 6 digits here?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. For sure.
That's got to be like
thick.
That's like a $65,000, $80,000 necklace.
Yeah.
It's not like you're going to try to rob him and rip it off of him. He'll beat you. He will mop the floor with you, literally. He'll just pick you up by your head and just swing you. If I'm him and I'm that big and I'm that powerful, I'll wear a ton of ice.
Yep.
Because oh my God. I looked at it. I was like, damn. He had it hidden a little bit. And I was just like, woo. I'm not a jewelry
you only
guy.
had so much. Oh.
I wish I was rich like that.
That thing was popping out. I was like, oh my God.
Out.
Yeah.
Last bit, then we can get out of here, is players that I thought stood out. Winners, Jalen Graham, Womack. A lot of people are saying that Isaiah Oliver might not even make the team. I'll just leave this to you guys. Whoever wants to go first can go first. Players that you saw that popped out that look like, other than like Ronnie Bell, because that's a given. Mm-hmm. Who else stood out to you? Anybody can go.
Jack Colito.
Jair Brown.
Yep.
Go, Bryant.
Jack Colito, number 33. I think he's going to be the pushing factor that gets Roger Craig in. I think he's going to have a good season with the Niners. I think they're going to see that number 33 when we lift the Lombardi. They're going to say, "Hey, who else wore 33?" And they're going to say, "Yeah, that's a good idea, guys. Let's get him in." So fingers crossed. But no, more or less, he is a really good player. He is really, really smart, and he scored a touchdown. And I can't remember who it was, but it was one of our quarterbacks. And that really doesn't matter. But he scored. That's the most important thing. And he said afterwards he had a game interview, and he said he didn't even know it was a touchdown until afterwards. And he was like, "Oh, I scored a touchdown." So, just catch the ball and run north. That's all you got to do.
Yeah, I thought Manning on the line played pretty well once again. He got in some reps, and he held up pretty good. The backup linebackers, jeez, they were thumping. They were running around. Ooh, I was really impressed by them. Jair Brown had another touchdown saving tackle.
Yes, he did. That was great.
That's good things from him. And Sammy Womack. We were all high on Womack last year. We want to see him play more. He's been playing more this preseason and bumped him to the outside, and he's looked good.
Yeah, he has. He looks really good outside.
I'm like, okay, our depth is looking real good.
David?
Well, Isaiah Oliver may be a waste of a roster spot. I hate to say that. But with seeing Womack, Lenore, we all know Mooney Ward's our number one. Mm-hmm. But even Ambry Thomas is
Quantrez Knight.
gaming. It's like, yeah, Quantrez Knight. It's like we might end up keeping 6 corners, but we'll see what happens there. But watching Jair Brown, the touchdown saving tackle, the guy's all over the field.
Yes.
And he, when Gibson decides to retire, we definitely have his replacement on the roster right now. And those young linebackers, if they cut in Graham, Winters, or McCrary Ball, they're going to get picked up.
Yep.
There's no question at all. They will get picked up. We will definitely lose them.
They have 3 linebackers literally that could start that last linebacker spot, and you'd be okay with it. McCrary Ball, Graham, or Winters. Look, it's like the thing with the Niners is weird. They, like I said, they screw up the most obvious stuff, right? They make mistakes drafting. And then all of a sudden in other areas of the team, not all of a sudden, it's been like this since they took over, they find time and time again these gems in the late rounds. Like, maybe they should take the late round draft guys, the scouts, switch them with the first round draft guys. I know they're probably all the same. Like, damn, what Ronnie Bell is a 7th round player. He's a 7th round wide receiver. He's actually probably one of our best 53 players on our roster. I think right now, honestly speaking, he's better than Juwan Jennings. He looks that good. Doesn't matter who the quarterback is, what preseason game he's in. He makes play after play after play. I give it to the scouts. If we could just figure out the early picks, man, we could really do some serious damage in the draft. But props to the Niner scouts on some of those guys. But we're going to get out of here, guys. Ty's getting tired, so am I.
That's right.
We'll be back next week on David McNew's channel. Make sure to follow us. This guy.
That guy.
That other,
his channel. Right there. That's his name.
I don't know.
Where's my finger? There we go.
The guy looks like Stone Cold Steve Austin with the thin shaved beard. We'll be on his channel next week, 8:15 p.m. Eastern time. Sure, we'll break down the next preseason game. Everybody, have a great rest of your night, and we'll see you then. Go Niners.
Go Niners.
Go Niners and F the Lambs.
Knew he was going to say that.